Welcome to Nonprofit Network, powered by Stokes Auction Group. We are a group of fundraising professionals that specialize in raising funds to improve communities of all sizes. Hello and welcome to the Nonprofit Network. It is a day, it is the 1st and 2nd of May. We are here, we are entering the latter part of the spring, and boy, we've been doing some fundraisers, haven't we? My name is Shelby Stokes.
I'm Kelly Schenfeld.
Hey gang, Polly Schenfeld here. Hello, fundraiser fanatics.
You fundraiser fanatics. What's going on?
Love it.
We're doing it.
That was a signature move. It's the finger, Polly, with that finger. That time you weren't with us, it was weird because I had to go over and pretend I was you, and I couldn't get her done.
It didn't quite work.
It didn't quite work the way I planned it to.
You don't have the deep voice. It just doesn't do it for you. So welcome to the episode today. We're pivoting.
To the episode.
We had a surprise.
And episode.
Surprise meetings and schedules came up.
Things happen. Always, and we are adjusting. And you know what? The simple truth of the matter is, in all charity events, every one of them, the most perfectly planned out events, they're still reactive because the human is involved. And when the human is involved, we must react. That is the truth. Am I right?
Failure is just around the corner.
Yeah. I feel like that's one of those, can I have an amen on that?
Yeah, amen.
Amen, sister.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Things are going to come up. Things unexpected
are going to come up.
Things are going to happen.
They are.
Yeah, that's just part of the process.
It is part of the
process. Work through them.
Yep.
And boy, it definitely feels that way with the events industry. Let's
the
kick
sun
it
is
off.
shining if anybody cares.
It is shining.
I'm so happy.
It's about time.
It is.
What is it? We had 6 months of clouds, I believe is what somebody said.
I don't know,
it
but
was like, so 70 degrees a couple days ago, or whatever, like last week, and somebody had told me that it had been 60 or 6 months since it was 70 degrees prior.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is insane.
Oh. Yeah, I was on a ferry.
Yeah.
Out of Port Townsend, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Absolutely gorgeous views with sailboats out there, and oh yeah, it kind of just changes everybody's mood. Everybody's
It does change
in a good
everybody's mood, yeah.
Right?
Everyone's happier, especially around here.
Yeah.
Yes. By the way, if you have any suggestions on how to make a 90-year-old man involved and happy,
Yes.
keep it clean.
That's not necessarily in my wheelhouse,
Does you-
but
Because you could just see all those comments flying.
oh boy. Yeah, so we had a bunch of shows this weekend. I had a couple, the first of which was up north in Whatcom County, and we had a really good event for the community. I feel like there was a lot of planning that went into it, and kind of like you said earlier, we kind of had to just roll with the punches.
Yeah.
Like there were some unexpected things that happened, and we just rolled with it, and at the end of the day, like all the pieces fit in perfectly. And it was just really nice to see the success of that event. I worked with Jeremy Hamill. He was the MC, I was the auctioneer, and we had a really good night where we kind of just bantered back and forth and interacted with the crowd, and people were there to give. So
you
it
had
was
some
pretty nice.
amazing ringmen with you, too.
We did. Mr. Adam Micah is the toppest of shelf.
Toppest!
And shout out to
He
Aaron
is.
Klesick as well. But Micah, always nice to work with you, man. We debriefed yesterday, and he had nice things to say. I had nice things to say. We have a little bit of a bromance, Adam and I.
Kumbaya time. Wow.
I asked him,
Wow.
how come we don't work together more often? And he said, you do the schedule. What are you talking about?
What is the
To
matter
that I
with you?
replied, touche. Touche.
Touche.
So it was good. It was good. But with all the moving pieces, it's always nice to have like your experienced security blanket there. And Adam is my security blanket.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's
He's
a good
your
way to
little
describe
wubby.
him. Absolutely, because he's on everything.
We're going to start calling him Wadham because he's their whoopee. Wadham!
Wadham. He's
Wadham.
on whoop.
Wadham.
Wadham, where are you?
Pinch those cheeks. Little Wadham.
Wadham, we love you.
Wadham. So yeah, I had a really good night. How did your night go?
It was good.
Good. That's great to hear. Glad
Is that
that we've established that.
No, it was really great. It really was great. It was a JDRF. Love doing JDRFs. I got to find the information out there, but it's really neat to be a part of something that we've all done for years, right? And now they're making real inroads to the not necessarily the cure, but it's the beginning of the end, I believe, of the charity fundraising for the cure.
Yeah.
Now, it's the beginning of the end. I don't know how long that'll take
Yeah.
for it to come, but we're finally seeing something happen where they are testing now. So there's markers, and please, if I don't speak completely,
We're not scientists.
we're not
full
scientists, and
disclosure.
I'm not even going to try the name, but we're gonna find it, we're gonna put it up here. Trilizumab, or something along these,
That sounds fancy.
trilizumab.
Really, they couldn't find any other name?
Anyway, there is a Good Morning America did a thing on it, and I'm so excited. I said the M in America twice.
Yeah, you did.
So
But you
you know,
rolled right over it.
I did. I rolled right over it, so that was beautiful. But what it is they are testing the siblings, because you know when somebody is diagnosed with T1D, their siblings have something like a 90% chance of getting it as well.
Gotcha.
So they test the siblings, see if they have these certain antibodies in them, and if they do, that says that these people are going to get T1D. We just don't know when.
I'll be darned.
They have come
Amazing.
up with, that's amazing. They have come up with a way to infuse, or I'm probably not saying that right, but it's a 2-week process where they are injecting people with, I want to say it's stem cell research stuff, and holding off T1D. They're going about it the same way that they went about polio. So polio, they eradicated. They never cured it. Polio is incurable. But they eradicated it, right?
Gotcha.
So instead of fixing people once they got polio, they vaccinated against polio.
Right?
That's kind of,
Stopped
I
it in
think,
its tracks.
yes, and I think that's what the beginning of the end is.
That's so great because I know, like in the past, we have spent many a night raising money for juvenile diabetes research, and it's just great to see like
yeah.
the things. Well, I mean, they've accomplished a lot in the tenure of us helping them with fundraising, and it's been things here and there, but for them to be on a path that's going to be this finite is pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's great.
I one of the things I've always wanted to do is I want Mark and I, and actually I'd love a group of those that are the charity auctioneers for JDRF, but once we have reached that mountain where it's either cure or eradication, whatever
Right.
you want to say, I can't wait to travel to every chapter, have galas that are parties with raising funds to implement it now instead of raising funds to cure it or eradicate it. Implement it, because that's the next level too. You know, people ask us at JDRFs, well, what's your connection? You know, it used to be that we were the hired help to come in here and help you guys raise a ton of money. But now when they say, what's your connection to JDRF, Mark and I are able to look at them and say, you. You're my connection. You know, you have T1D. Anybody with T1D is our connection. So anyway,
That's
I
a
kind of
great
got
answer.
off on a tangent there for a little bit, but that's the first time I've been to a JDRF where I was like, oh my gosh, this might be the beginning of the end
Yeah.
for this. And how exciting if that was the case.
How many guests did you have in the room?
300.
300.
Give or take, you know,
Okay,
but about
cool.
300. It was a beautifully done. It was very informative, and that's why I kind of went a little long talking about it. But we had Brad speak about, and he is he's on the global chair.
Gotcha.
So the big chair
Oh,
of JDRF, and he's the one that came up with this stuff that they're coming through with, and it's incredible. So speeches, make sure they're placed properly, you know, because his was informative, and it's information that I'll carry with me and people in the room will. However, it was right before our funding needs, so it kind of killed the room because they're not wanting information. They want to know what they're, you know.
Right. Yeah, and I think
It's a balance.
yeah, and it comes like down to the vision of the chair or organization
Yeah.
at each chapter, right? And I think that's kind of what you saw, because I talked with Mark a little bit about it as well, and you said it was very information based.
Oh, it was
But I
so-
also think that was the goal of
Right.
that team, was to make it information
Yeah.
based.
was it like overly technical in your opinion? Is
No,
that what-
I don't-
Not having lived it, I can't.
Yeah,
speak
no,
to
I
that.
wouldn't say it was overly technical, and it was all information that everybody wanted, and that there wasn't talking during these speeches or videos, none. It was very, very informative, and people glommed onto it like, oh my God, we're something. We're not just reaching anymore. There's something actually happening. to the point where Good Morning America did a thing on it. It's incredible, but that needs to be maybe a VIP. I think you were the one that mentioned that, or something different. It doesn't pull. Information, unfortunately, doesn't pull on people to give money. We're human. We're emotional. So there's a science to our fund of needs and our raise the paddles and our, fund of dreams. The science is pull on that emotion, pull on that heart. That's why they're going to give,
I almost feel like they should have done, or they could have done both. You know what I mean? What if they had a very big info dump and then came out with somebody to kind of bridge that gap? You know what I mean? Like, okay, these are the strides we're making forward per the request of the board, and then, okay, here's a 1-minute explanation from somebody with T1D, and kind of bring it back home, if you will.
Yeah, and
that could have been a solution here.
And there's nothing wrong with during dinner, instead of if your timeline already has you kind of later in the evening, which East Coast usually does, right? Not that we were in the East Coast, but I've just heard through the grapevine. That it has been that. But what I'm trying to say is that, they could do that during dinner.
Okay.
And then do your live auction.
Yeah. I don't know how much attention you have. We come down to fundraising minutes. You only have so much time together, so executing them doing it at dinner would definitely be a solution there, too.
Well, because the information they gave, usually, I pay attention to speeches, but the information they gave was jaw-dropping.
Yeah.
So if you've got jaw-dropping, future-moving information, it does serve a purpose. All that being said, it was a great night. Yeah. They far exceeded their goal. It was beautiful.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to hear, because that is such a huge monolithic piece of news, especially for that community, that I can see how that could carry. It wouldn't surprise me if somebody in that room was like, hey, we've been giving X amount of dollars for so many years to this organization, and it feels like we need something tangible to put in front of our donors and say, here's what we've accomplished and here's where we're going. So I guess it being info heavy could make sense under that perspective, but at the same time, taking it all the way home is pretty important as well. I kind of ran into that at my event on Friday as well. We had a video that was very upbeat, kind of talked about the overview of what was going on in the program. Then we had a mother who was directly impacted, and then I was supposed to come out and thank a big donor from 2 or 3 years ago. And I really got caught up last week in preparation because you have all these pieces, but at the end of the day, why should that guest give? You know what I mean?
That's the question.
We're hitting
That's
so many different areas
said.
that it's okay, now I got to bring this back to the people. This has to be about the people and why they're going to give that night. And it's so often...
Yeah, got to bring it back.
Yeah, and so often you can get into the weeds and be like, oh, well, this thing cool happened, that thing cool happened. You're like, that's cool.
Why are we
How
here?
do we get Joe to give?
No,
and if Joe doesn't know anything about the org, how can we motivate him to give?
Right.
And I spent way too much time overthinking that in my room, and I'm sure you did as well, but at the end of the day, that's your North Star. Yeah. How do we motivate these people to give a little bit more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And be cognizant of the chair, too, in the same motion, because they have spent countless hours on this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they are doing it not for the glory of it, because there's not a lot of glory when you're a chairperson.
Right.
There's a lot of work.
Sure.
Not a lot of glory. You get flowers at the end of the night.
Mm-hmm.
Big whoop, right? there's a lot of work, and so
but
hats
they're
off.
Nice flowers. We don't skip on the flowers,
right?
Guys.
But what I'm saying is that chair has really worked hard. Mm-hmm. If they're a good chair, man, they've worked hard, and you want that night to go well for them. But at the end of that night, the amount that they raised is what's going to show success for that chair.
That's one of the largest...
For most chairs.
Most chairs.
For most chairs. We know who you are.
We know who you are.
There's some chair. We should do chair tales on one of these episodes.
Oh, I have a few.
Oh, so do I.
We had one chair tale. She was 45 minutes late because her hair wasn't done. I'm like, go for Bill.
Yeah.
Bill, where is she? Oh, she's entering the room. Okay, great.
The eagle has landed. The eagle
has
has landed. Yeah.
Careful not to get her hit by the flames. It might, blow up from all the hairspray.
Paul, no pressure. Tell us all about your chair.
Yeah, because we just kind of like... Tell us about your chair.
She's wonderful.
She's amazing.
She is absolutely amazing. She's the new executive director of an animal welfare shelter. And the last time we did this event was 4 years ago.
Okay.
And so COVID really hit them pretty hard. And we had about 30 items, and it was about 140 people, real intimate setting. Me and Ron Coakley got to work together. He was the MC, Coakley. And I was selling it, and it's just like we were just talking to him. We're just going to talk to you guys and just have fun. And the night was successful. For those of you that have watched this last week, I talked about the calendar months. Mm-hmm. And this organization has been doing it for years, as long as I've been there. And we sold the cover last, which is new. Usually you sell the cover first.
Yeah.
We averaged $500 average per month.
There you go.
And sold the cover at the end for $1,000. Your pet in the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do calendars last week, too?
I did.
We need to add your business card.
Yeah.
Paul Shinfield, calendar auctioneer.
Hey, it's a big deal, even though everything's electronic, because Denise just took her dogs down to Seattle because her and Chris bought the calendars.
Oh, yeah.
For Seattle Animal Shelter.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, can we get a copy of that?
Is that Seattle Animal Shelter, right?
I believe.
Yeah, yes.
Not Seattle Humane?
I don't believe so. It's Seattle Animal Shelter. Yeah,
okay.
I don't want to confuse the two. Both very, very important.
Very much
but,
so, yes.
Seattle Animal Shelter.
Well, we talk about bringing it home in the Fund of Need right before you go do the ask. This was teed up perfectly Saturday because we're in a room full of animal lovers. We're all behind animal welfare and animal care. And we had this video. Cinnamon came up and spoke. That's the chair's name, or the executive director. She came up and spoke. There was an incident a year ago where there was a home on a lot of property up in this area, and 55 animals, cats, dogs, chinchillas, were found being completely neglected.
How do you neglect
The
a chinchilla?
police,
Not very hard.
the police called this shelter, and they took every one of them.
Oh, wow.
So it just completely overwhelmed the system. So we need to upgrade, shelters. We need to upgrade. We need more of this, more of that, more supply. We need more of everything. And she just laid it out. And everybody's like, oh, my goodness, right? And then we play the video, and it's, kittens with little bandages or
I was thinking the same.
dogs that are, on a cast or animal, just cutest.
Walking around with their IV bottles down their yard.
Boom. That closed it out. And then I went right up after that. Perfect.
She understood the mechanics of an auction.
Absolutely, she does. She absolutely does. And it had the music. It had that very emotional music behind it. And it was just so fun to be in that room because I know those people pretty well, and we haven't seen each other in years, so it was almost like a family reunion. But it was just so fun.
Yeah.
Totally fun and great organization.
Ours was new for us again.
Was it?
So yeah, Mark and I are doing a lot of new ones, that we've done before, but we hadn't done this one before, but our company has done. I'm enjoying that new.
Are you? You like the new energies?
Yeah. I like the new energies just because they don't know who we are.
That does have its advantages.
It does have its advantages.
Yeah.
No, I just like it because you get to go in there and really try to help somebody you don't know.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I really learned. I needed kind of a refresher of what it feels like to work with an MC that you know very, very well. Like Ronnie and I have known each other for years. And the way we interacted, much like I'm sure you and Jeremy did, just like a couple of old buddies.
Yeah.
We had half a dozen people come up to us afterward. Oh my gosh, you guys were having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were just, it wasn't really a stage. It was a projector in here, and I stood on one side and he stood on the other, and it was just like having a communication, talking back and forth, joking.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Oh, it really created that environment that brought everybody in to part of the family.
Yeah.
It really, really did. It was very settling, but it was very high energy and fun at times, and very exciting. But just being able to say, "Hey, Ronnie," and throw something at him, and he'd be right there. I absolutely loved it, dude. So if you watch this, love you, bro. It was awesome.
How do you guys feel about selling drink trays at an auction and all that good stuff?
Well, if we were to do that,
not that we
not
do.
that we ever have done that or not, but if we were to do that, what's your question?
It'd be lemonade. I'm talking.
It would be.
It would be lemonade or iced tea.
Hypothetically, when we do that, sometimes you have the opportunity to sell those twice.
Hypothetically,
Hypothetically.
I have heard.
In a perfect world.
In a perfect world. Yes.
On the West Coast.
Yes. All right, moving on. I had a doubleheader this weekend. So on Friday, I kind of talked about that show. On Saturday, I was at a Catholic school in Puyallup, and we felt like we got our footing again. So we did this event last year, and it just didn't quite hit the marks that we were hoping it would. And this year, it felt like we were back. And I don't exactly know what it was, but it almost felt like we needed a year under our belts to get like back into the swing of things. And what I want to speak to on that is I think a lot of these private schools have really had disruption in their churn of bidders, right? So when the pandemic hit, those families were not taught to give the way that we have taught people to give forever and always at many of these auctions. So it felt like this was the first year that these families were like, oh, now I get it. And then they were like, really had their bid cards in the air. We had a couple of items that doubled, which were just absolutely stellar. And it was really, really a good night. So I was really excited to see that community kind of come back and be as strong as it was this weekend.
Yeah, I think that, getting your footing under you, that's a lot. I do feel like, and we've talked about this multiple times, that first year they were throwing a lot of money at us. Now it's kind of slowing down, but it's not stopping.
No.
It's not stopping. They are at least almost or making goals. These people are almost or making goals this year.
Yeah.
And that's exciting to see that maybe, I hope that we don't ever forget COVID, because it was a terrible time, but it was also a time of real, it was a wonderful time too, out of that. Not the
there
sickness.
There were a lot of silver linings.
There was a lot of silver linings. You know what? And I hate talking about it. These boys know that better than anybody, but you know what? We can't forget that. And when we start taking advantage again of who's giving and what our goals are and things like that, we need to remember those times when we couldn't be together.
It forced us to innovate.
It did.
It forced people to innovate and come up with new ideas, think way outside of the box, to continue on with their fundraising while the world was shut down.
Yeah.
And people came up with very interesting, innovative, curious
I
ideas
agree.
that some have stayed, new ideas, and I'm sure more will come. But when you're forced into doing that, I mean, your whole life changed here in this very room.
Yeah.
We made it work. But it didn't have the same flavor as a live auction, because if it did, we'd still be doing virtuals, right? People still ask us, virtual or not, hybrid or not. No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
In our view.
mean, the jury is in on that one.
Totally.
Yeah, all the way.
It's not the same. And
Lived
I kind of speculated early where I was like, how is this different than a marketing campaign? And really the essence of a live auction is community building, and we're back doing that again.
Yeah.
Which is really, really cool.
It is cool.
Yeah. It's really
And getting everybody together, like my gig Saturday, people we haven't been together in 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of an unusual situation in our fundraising world, but
And be okay with not as many people showing up. I think that's something that's really important to remember that I'm seeing. I don't know about you guys, but I am seeing a decrease in people at the shows.
attendees, yeah.
But I don't see that as a negative, to be honest with you, because I think that's way better to have strong.
Right.
have
Community.
the right bidders in the room,
Yeah.
not just
Yeah.
butts to fill in the seats.
Right.
Right?
It's a big difference.
I mean, we had 150 people where we were this week, and we probably doubled our live auction,
Yeah.
if not times and a half it.
Yep.
I mean, like, and it was just the right families being in the room. And I went up to somebody and said, I feel like we've worked together like 5 years ago, one of the bidders. And she goes, I'm brand new to the school. I've only been here 24 months. And I go, really? Because I feel like I've known you for a lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, I mean, it was a good feeling. But we're back out there. We're doing it, for sure.
Yeah.
No. Well, cool. Well, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Just talking fundraising, doing our thing, enjoying it. I saw a really, really good interview with Michael J. Fox. Did you see that one?
Oh man,
Oh,
I
my
did.
goodness.
Yeah,
But
I
But-
couldn't watch it.
But, like, there's a line
out
that...
of respect to him, you should.
I know.
There was
I
a
love-
line in there that really resonated with me, and he basically said, optimism... What was it? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
Through gratitude.
Through gratitude.
Optimism never... Basically, his point was, if you're grateful, you will always be optimistic, was essentially
That's
his point.
exactly
And he
right.
said it in fewer words and more eloquently than I just
Yeah,
did.
what was that?
But it was
Exact.
such a cool quote to see an individual who had such an impact on our culture in general sit down and be interviewed, and he's been stricken by this horrible disease, but at the same time, he's grateful and optimistic about the future. And it just, like, resonated with me, and it's been on my mind all day.
Yeah, I think that I haven't seen it yet. I'm looking forward to my husband and I watching it together. But still, for all four of you watching, watch still.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Great Scott!
We
Love
had a
that
Back
guy.
to the Future theme. Ours was Back to the Future theme. And they did a great job at clips.
Is that right?
So they clip. Do you remember when they were testing some of the gigawatts? Oh my God, the gigawatts! When they tested the car, and he said, "Don't move," and he pulled him there. The car was going to hit him the first time
Oh, yeah.
before it explodes, and then there's
Yeah.
flames between their
Right.
legs. They used that clip. It was like They started it with the guitar playing that Barry did, or James Brown. Was it Chuck Berry?
Chuck Berry.
Chuck Berry did
Yeah.
that, and that's how they brought everybody into the room
This last weekend?
this last
Oh,
weekend.
cool.
It was groovy.
Cool.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
Michael
Hey,
J.
don't
Fox,
forget
we
about
love you.
your themes. Themes can be
Themes
fun.
work. Themes are working.
People
Themes are
get into
working.
it.
Themes are working.
I'm going to be 80s theme this weekend.
Are you?
Can I borrow your hairspray?
I don't have any Aquanet I can
Oh.
afford. It's the 80s is Aquanet.
Aquanet.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we appreciate you being with us. Thank you for hanging out. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you. If you're not, you can watch a video version.
Why
on
aren't you
YouTube.
if you're not?
Otherwise, our podcatcher's going on. Paul's killing it on the podcatcher now.
Yes.
Yeah, we're on
Anchor
it. We're on
fanatic.
it.
Whoosh. I love it. And yeah, we're on Facebook and YouTube. Please follow us on the socials if you have not already. If you're going to give us a review, 5 stars would be great. We'd be very grateful for 5 stars, what I'm trying to say. Beyond that, be well, keep fundraising, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, be good to yourself and the people around you. Thanks,
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah, go out there, be courageous. You got this, man.
That's right. And go do good. Thank you, guys.